You recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee.
And we are live. Welcome to another edition of Relics Radio. I want to thank everybody for coming. Today is Thursday, September the 13th, 2018. And boy, do we have a good show tonight, even though our buddy Seven is taking a vacation night tonight. I'm going to be your host tonight. My name is Heath Jones. I am usually the co-host of Relic Roundup. I'm over there on Monday nights, and then on Tuesday nights, you can find me on History Seekers. And tonight, I'm here with you guys. Joined by
I'm your co-host. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Tennessee
no, man.
Jeff.
Hey, yeah, Tennessee Jeff's right in there. He just jump on in there. Jeff, good to be on
How's
here,
it
man.
going, buddy?
It's
yeah,
going.
I'm glad to have you. So, you and Seven's got all the Skype stuff hooked up. Of course, I can't get to the show through the way y'all do. So, but I'm glad to have you on. And is Seven on another vacation or what?
I don't know, man. Hey, I tell you what, but I can't complain because at a moment's notice, he has like this Relics Radio cape and this uniform under his clothes, and he wears it everywhere. And like he runs into a phone booth when I call him, and he just comes out all as Seven all of a sudden, and he's talking on the radio.
Yeah, he's got a big 7 across his chest.
Yeah, big 7.
I've seen that cape once.
Yes. So, he said he had to be out, so he asked me to fill in. You guys are always talking about two rednecks with metal detectors, and I guess he didn't want, everybody to feel left out that you guys were minus a redneck, so he called me. So,
well, hey, as long as we've got a redneck, so.
Well, but, I tell you. But anyway, man, have you been out detecting very much lately?
I went out a little bit this past week and really never found anything to call home about. I found a couple of wheat pennies and stuff like that, but no silver. And it's been too hot. We had a couple of days that was cool, and then unfortunately I wasn't able to get out them days. So, but how about you?
Yeah, man, it's been miserable down here too. And we got out. I don't know if anybody listens to History Seekers show. Scott and I have been pounding on a World War I camp with our friends J.J. Holt and Jeff Gibbs and Blake Gibbs and all those guys. And we've, normally we don't hunt that stuff. Normally we're chasing Civil War stuff like you guys, but man, we've been kind of on a kick. We're hoping to find Scott as barber out there. So far it hasn't turned up, but we've got a lot of cool buttons so far.
Well, that should be a good place to find his barber. I hope he does. So, I was telling you earlier that where my house is built, it's built right on top of a World War II camp. Of course, they had a lot of maneuvers here in Middle Tennessee, and you can go out in the yard, you find buttons and the old blank rounds from World War II. So, but I kind of leave them for a rainy day. So, but I'll have you and a couple other guys to come up and maybe we can just dig the yard up. So
Well, I tell you, we'll do that now. I tell you, be careful what you ask for. Is it like it rained mercury dimes in your yard?
Well, right now I've only found about 5. So, but yeah, it's several mercury dimes and war nickels and stuff like that. So, and actually, there was an older house that set probably 100 yards from my house. It was on the 1878 map, and I have found a few flat buttons in my backyard. So, and some Civil War bullets and buttons and stuff. So, I mean, I am very blessed where I live. Because I mean, I had a Civil War garrison camp right across the road from me, but yeah, you guys need to come up sometime, and then we'll hit it and see what we can do. So,
absolutely.
But we've got a great guest tonight, don't we?
We sure do. Talking about finding silver, Minelab just put out their latest update for that killer machine, the Equinox, that I know you guys are using, and Scott and I both are using. And she's going to be here to talk a little bit about it tonight. We've got Debbie from Minelab joining us to talk about the update and some other stuff, Equinox related and just Minelab related. Debbie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So it's been a little while since we talked to you. Anything new going on with Minelab yet that you want to tell us about?
Well, of course, we had the updates for the Equinox for the 600 and 800. So that's been going really well. I've been hearing a lot of positive back from customers on it. And then you never know what could be around the corner.
Oh yeah, Debbie likes to keep us guessing. She won't. She's tight-lipped when it comes to that other information. I always try to drag out of her every time I get her on the show. But I tell you what, Scott and I have both got the update. Very stable, very stable. Of course, I never had a problem with it before, but it's even more stable than it was. Talk to us a little bit about that, if you can.
Well, so there were 3 main targets that we kind of went after. We wanted to improve the IDs for silver coins on Edge, make it a little bit more stable, as you talked. Then we also tried to improve the depth gauge as much as possible. And as you and many of your listeners know, the depth gauge is based on an algorithm of a coin-sized target. So it does fluctuate. It's not always going to be accurate, but it's a good tool to have in the basket to help you out a little bit. And then we did some general interface updates and an update for the user profile on the 800.
Okay, and it even fixed some of the people. It was very rare, but I only had one customer. We sold, I don't know, a few hundred of machines. I had one customer that had an issue with saving his profiles, and he reported back to me. I didn't even know that was in there. He reported back that actually fixed it, or at least
that
it
was
fixed
one of
it
the
for him.
things, and a lot of people didn't even. You had to go through a certain cadence of buttons to actually have it happen. And what was happening is that someone would save their settings in the user profile, and if they shut off the machine while it was still in that setting, their settings were not saved. But it had to be you had to go that route in order for it to happen. So that's why I don't think a lot of people even noticed it at all.
Yeah. Jeff, you guys did a great video out there. What all were y'all seeing from your video for the people that haven't watched it?
Well, actually, it was the comparison with the Deus and the AT Pro and the Nox. And, of course, luckily, I was the first one to get the Nox. And then, of course, I was going through, and I got this signal. No, I mean, it was the VDI was fluctuating a little bit, but it was a solid tone. I mean, it was a digger. It repeated. So, and then we went through with the Deus, and then, of course, the guy that we had using the Deus, he'd used it for several years, and he had to switch modes before he could pick it up, and the AT Pro couldn't even pick it up at all. So we dug it, and then it ended up being a little bitty piece of brass. But as what we've seen, the Nox has done a real good job. And then as of right now, I haven't updated my Nox yet. And I went out today in the test garden, and I'm doing good with the silver on edge and all that. I mean, I haven't had any problems out of mine. So I'll update it and see if it runs more stable and everything like that. So, but as right now, I love it.
Debbie, I wasn't convinced that it affected every machine. Is that kind of the general consensus? Because or maybe it was just me. Maybe I didn't notice it, but mine seemed very stable even before the update, and even more so now.
It's funny that you say that, because I've seen it, both ways. I've talked to a lot of end users who were having issues with Silver and then others were telling me they were having no problems. As you know, with something new coming out, electronic, there's going to be little things that we can tweak and make better. And for the amount of people that I've heard that have issues in that, you have to keep in mind how many we have sold since we released them in February, and it's astronomical.
Yeah, I've been very impressed, and I deal with a lot of since we sell them also, that if something goes wrong, I'm getting a call. So we haven't really hardly had anybody call back and have an issue with them. Of course, it's always possible, but we've had a few, and then Minelab was quick to get it taken care of. So.
I know a guy, when he first got his Knox, the coil was bad on it, and then Minelab was right that next day, shipped him one right then, and then he had it the next morning. So customer service, you couldn't beat that.
Oh, absolutely. And we actually dropped Debbie. She got dropped from the call. We're trying to get her added back in, guys. So just bear with us as we get that taken care of. So,
yeah, it seems like everybody's going through a storm right now. She said that there was a storm headed her way, and you've got one headed your way.
Yes, absolutely. She said that she lost power in the hotel, so we're trying to get her added back on, and there's a storm bearing down on us, and your internet's out.
It is.
Maybe we're getting the precursor to the hurricane. I don't know.
I know so. We may be. Well, there's a certain TV network doing some work down the road here, and of course, my neighbors has been out, and of course, there's been several others been out, but I'm not going to mention the TV server's name. So, I believe that's yeah.
I think we got Debbie back online. No, that's okay. Yeah. It's storming everywhere.
It is.
So what I was saying was, we get a lot of the customer calls since we sell them, and we've had very few people calling with issues. And what few that we have had, we've sent back to Minelab, and the turnaround has been phenomenal. I will say that.
We've really been trying to work hard on that, because I know how long people waited to get their Equinox. And we want to make sure that if they were having a problem, that we turned it around as quickly as possible and got it back in their hands. Yeah. That was really important to us.
I was glad to see that you guys incorporated the computer update too, though. Whenever this update was finally announced to the dealers, it was really nice to know. A lot of companies still don't do that. They still, if they have an issue, a firmware issue or whatever, there's a lot of companies having to send it in. So big kudos to Minelab. And as far as the update, it's been pretty flawless too. I ran it on both my machines. Literally in 10 minutes, I had both machines updated. So very, very simple to use as well.
And
what is it, like 6 steps?
Yeah, I think just about that. I was going to say, wasn't it nice and easy through the USB, through the charging cable? You didn't have to have anything else up, just plug it in and go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you've got Windows 10, I've got Windows 10, and it was absolutely flawless. Absolutely flawless. It tells you what version you're on. If you want to update, you tell it update, and it's off to the races and good to go.
Debbie, we've got a couple of questions. We've got this little deal on, it's on our Relics Radio Facebook page, and it's called Relics Radio Show Prep. And Ken Guthrie, he's got a question for you, and it says, is it possible to update the Equinox to a traditional 100-point VDI scale, or at least make it an option to update for the ones that like it?
No, there is no way. The range is going to be, we're going to keep the -9 to the 40, and there's no way to increase that through a firmware or any upgrade.
Okay.
Yeah, and and that's one thing. I tell you what, I initially had a little bit of concern about, but since I've gotten out and used the machine, I haven't seen as big an issue with it, with the range of the numbers as I was worried about it, and it's really using it. I haven't had the problem because it is so accurate, identifying stuff like those Civil War bullets. Those 3-ringers pop a 16 on at least I think field 2. Every time was a 16. And I was with Ken Guthrie when I hit him and I showed him that, and it was, we knew immediately when we had a 3-ringer out in the woods.
That's funny. I've dug 3 3-ringers with mine so far, and all 3 of them, it doesn't matter if they were 6, 7, 8 inches deep, a solid 17 all the way around. So
yeah,
and
it depends on the soil a little bit.
Oh yes, I mean it'll depend on your soil too. And of course I listen to the repeatable signal. I don't look at the VDI. So I mean that kind of helps me out. It doesn't matter what the VDI is to me. If it's a repeatable signal, then I'm digging it. So
absolutely. And
it's just getting comfortable with it. A lot of people were worried about it, and now, as you said, as you get used to it and learn the machine, it really. When you've got something to dig.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys, let's open up the call-in. We're going to keep going through the show prep questions, but we're going to open up the call-in lines. I know there's probably a lot of people with questions. The call-in number, if you don't know it, it's 270-495-0315. Again, that's 270-495-0315. Call in and talk to Debbie, or if you have a question for me or Jeff too, we'll be glad to answer it for you. And so, have you got any more questions?
If we don't know it, we'll find somebody.
That's right. That's right.
We'll find somebody that knows it. We also have one. I hope I say his name right. It's Babu Mandava. It said, "What updates have been made to the user control interface and the user profile mentioned in the update release summary?"
Yeah, that is what we did, where some customers were experiencing losing their user profile settings, and that was part of the upgrade, was to fix that issue.
And that goes back to kind of the problem with people not being able to save their settings, right? That's what you're essentially saying.
Correct.
With that. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. So that should answer his question. But it looks like we need to pay some bills, and then we'll be right back.
All right, we'll be right back, guys.
If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671 and be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio.
So, Debbie, like on the Minelab, now the Equinox, I have seen a problem like when you dig it's a repeatable signal, but once you dig it, you kind of lose it. Have you had anybody to have that problem?
So you're getting the repeatable target, and then once you start digging, you lose the target completely?
Yes. And I mean, actually, Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Well, actually, it doesn't fall back in the hole like I know on a lot of detectors. You dig a target and then it roll back into the hole. It's not doing it. It'll just kind of like it'll be close to the surface, but you kind of just lose it once it breaks that halo. Have you heard anybody say anything about that?
You know, I haven't heard a lot of it in the Relic. I was just in Alaska and we were using it up there for nuggets. And I did find that would happen if it was a very, very small target. So that when we dug out the hole, we actually put more dirt on top of the target than was originally there, and we would go through methodically and spread it out a little bit, and we ended up finding it. So that's the only thing I can think of there. Otherwise, that has not been a common issue that I've heard at all.
Hey, I can speak to that a little bit too. Like Debbie said, I've seen that sometimes with really small stuff like 22 bullets are notorious for it, and then especially if they get turned a certain way, you get dirt on them and they're turned straight up or something, then they do get hard to hear. And the iron, a lot of time I will stick my shovel in the ground and just sort of pull back just a little bit, and it'll break that halo. And I use that as a good test a lot of time. Like I'm not saying I don't finish digging the plug. I just literally stick the shovel in the ground and just sort of move the dirt some, just so it shifts it and it breaks that halo. And that's how I decide whether or not to dig some stuff sometime.
Yeah. So you just got back from Alaska, right?
Yes, I was up in Nome.
Now, tell us about the gold nuggets that you found.
We had a couple people. We had some people using gold monsters, and they were having great success on some of the smallest gold I have ever seen found with a metal detector. So much so that they were actually putting the dirt in a baggie and bringing it back and panning it because it was taking too long to find them, just looking for them that way. And then we pulled out the Equinox, and we had a gentleman that had the 11-inch coil on, and then I had the 6-inch coil on, just putzing around, and we were finding nuggets as small as 0.2, 0.3 grams at about 3 or 4 inches, which was just great.
Did you try it with the Equinox up there on those same nuggets?
Oh yeah, So I think the smallest I got with the 6-inch coil, which is a little bit more focused. So for the shallower stuff, it hit harder when it was very small. So a 0.2, 0.3 gram. We were hitting with the 6-inch coil. The largest nugget that was found while I was there I was there for a week and a half. The largest nugget that was found was with an Equinox and the 11-inch coil, and it was just under an ounce.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty good nugget. Now, how deep was that nugget? Was you there?
That was about 8 inches.
About 8 inches. Hey, that's a good find right there.
And they paid for the detector just like that.
Oh yeah,
well,
actually,
did. But he was using my loaner, and he bought one right after that.
I guess so. He had the extra cash for it.
I think a user's fee would have been thrown in that,
or a training fee. I mean, come on now, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, did you?
But it was exciting to see.
Did you get a bunch of nuggets up there?
I didn't. We were really busy. It was Minelab week, and we were at AKAU, which is a mining camp that you can go up there and you can metal detect, or you can high bank, or use a slick plate, whatever you want to do. And then any gold you find, you keep. And it was nonstop busy. People coming up that either worked on the dredges or fishermen that live in Nome, plus all the guests that were staying there. So I didn't have a lot of time. I watched a lot of people dig some fun stuff, but not me.
Yeah, getting back to the update on the Equinox, you said you used it up there. I'm assuming you did the update prior to going?
No, I didn't get the update until I got back.
Oh,
so that
okay.
was without the update.
Oh, okay. Now, did they do anything for the gold guys that are listening out there? And I know Seven's been doing some gold stuff. Did they do anything with the update to change anything with gold at all?
Not that I'm aware of at all.
Okay.
And from what I saw in using it, it's working very, very well.
Okay.
No,
all right.
so it doesn't sound like it needed changing. So that's pretty good. Maybe, Heath, maybe we ought to make a trip up to Nome.
I'm starting to think we do. I tell you, instead of digging those 1 ounce Civil War bullets, we'll dig 1 ounce of gold nuggets. I'd be happy with that.
Oh yeah, or just make a trip to Australia. I mean, hey.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Hitch a ride with Debbie. She gets to go to all these cool places, Jeff.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I talked to her at the Civil War show in Chattanooga, and then of course she was like, of course I invited her to come down and everything. She's like, man, that's why I love my job. And at first I was thinking, you go all these places, and then here you want to come to Middle Tennessee and hunt? Well, I want to go here. I want to go there, but I was impressed at everything she'd found, where she'd been. So, and then you had the privilege hunting with her up in the Northeast. Where were you at? You filmed the large scent?
When we were up in New Hampshire up there, and I can't wait to get back there. Debbie, I don't know about you, but I have thought about colonial coins ever since we left from up there.
I would love to go back up there again, without a doubt. I just don't want the rain anymore.
No.
That was a very wet week.
It was miserable, Jeff. Absolutely miserable. But I'll tell you something. Debbie was hardcore, and she was out there. I'm talking about when I found that large scent that day, it was absolutely, occasionally you'd get a piece of sleet hit you and bounce off your hat. It was cold. So it just misery.
I remember seeing a video. You and her were digging, and it was pouring down rain, and I was like, man, I don't see how they're doing it, but I guess you only have a limited time to hunt, so you've got it's like DIV. You've got to hunt when you can.
I had the advantage because I've got all these extra layers too, and that insulation. And poor Debbie, she was just at the disadvantage. Hey, Debbie, I'm seeing in the chat questions about the 15-inch coil, and I've been getting a lot of questions about those. Is there anything that you can tell us about possible availability and pricing on that?
So the latest information that I've received from Australia is they're looking to possibly release it end of October, beginning of November. However, I do not have pricing yet.
Okay. That's the $1 million question everybody's wanting to know. Eventually, and I told Ed, listen, I got on the list for that 15-inch coil, Jeff. The first time I used this machine and saw how deep it was with the 11-inch coil, I said I can only imagine what that 15-inch is going to be like. Hey, Debbie.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, Debbie, tell me now. I don't know if you can tell me. Have you got a chance to use it yet, or just test it?
I actually got to test one of the very first prototypes when I was in Australia in March, and that was with it was literally, I think it was only one of two coils that was even out there, and I didn't have much time to play with it. I had it in they have test lanes there at our facility, and I played with it a little bit, but it was a real prototype. Yeah.
Well, and we know things are always subject to change, from week to week on those prototypes. But were you seeing, or did you even get to depth test it? Was it as incredible as I'm hoping? And I think it will be.
I agree. I think it will be. I didn't, to be quite honest with you, I didn't get literally. Maybe I had 5 minutes with it.
Okay.
But yeah, just to kind of get the feel of it. It was also to feel how it felt on the machine.
Yeah, and of course I guess that's subject to change too. Oh, that's good. And when you talk about 15-inch coils, that's one of the first questions that pops to mind. Well, usually the first question that pops to mind is how much deeper is it going to get, and secondly, how much is it going to weigh? So, I don't guess we know anything about weight yet, or is that still kind of preliminary?
Yeah, that's still preliminary right now. But as soon as we have I have any more updated information, I will update all the dealers as well as update my Minelab Facebook page as well.
Awesome. And guys, if you're not subscribed to the Minelab Facebook page, you need to head over there and do that. I'm telling you, that way when they announce something, you get notified right then. And I know I am. I'm sure Jeff, and I know Seven is. So go check them out. And good information. Jeff, any more questions out there from the group?
Well, no, that was all. It was only show prep, and then, but I mean, it's, of course, like I said, my internet's down, and then they may added some more before after I looked at it, but I'm really not for sure. So, when did you say that a 15-inch coil was supposed to come out? You say at the end of October, 1st of November?
Yeah, right now it's scheduled for end of October, beginning of November.
Subject
as
to
we
change,
get
right?
closer, and it is subject to change.
Okay.
But as we get closer, we'll get more information.
So what kind of depth was you?
I was scrolling back through chat, and it looks like that was a big question, the 15-inch coils. So go ahead, Jeff.
What kind of depth was you getting on the 6-inch coil with the little gold nuggets?
The ones that we dug up, the small ones that we dug up, were between 4 and 6 inches.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's real good for a 6-inch coil. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to announce the number again. Actually, we've got a call coming in. Listener Denny Morrison's calling in. Let's grab Denny and get him on the line. I'm sure Denny's always got good questions. Denny Morrison, Ring Finder. Go ahead. You're live.
Hi, Heath. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jeff. How y'all doing?
Hello, Denny.
Good.
Hey, Denny.
Hey, Deb, if you're coming to DIV, bring one of them big coils with you. I'll try her out.
Well, thank you. If I can get one, I will definitely bring it.
Who are you going to be hunting with? Van Boone or all of our dealers up there?
Everybody that's up there.
There you go. I'll be there. I was going to tell you, Heath, if you want something deep, I mean, you got a GPX. What else do you need? You can't go any deeper than that. I don't care how big this 15-inch is.
Well, there's truth in that, Denny. And I tell everybody, yes, these Equinoxes are deep, but when you get in really hot ground, there is no substitute to having a pulse machine. There's just not. But your trade-off is sometimes the discrimination. You just don't get the discrimination that you would get with a VLF. So, and down here, especially we get
you haven't hunted in Virginia. You don't know. You don't know.
Well, now
isn't that right, Debbie?
Denny's the GPX whisperer, because I've hunted with Denny before. And I'm digging every nail that there possibly is, and he's coming up with a wedding ring and a buckle, and it's wonderful. It's fun to hunt with him.
Denny is one of the few people I know that actually use that thing about as well as he does a VLF. So, but not all of us have that mastery of that machine, Denny.
Well, it just takes a lot of time. I mean, I hate to say this, Debbie. I've got my Equinox, and I just heard my neighbor in back of my house today taking beans off. Guess where I'll be next week? In his field, because I'm a relic hunter. I'm not a door knocker. So, and I'll be getting my Equinox out, and I'm heading for the fields.
Yeah, I can't wait for the beans to get off here. That's what we're waiting on.
Yep, beans and corn. I don't like the corn as well, but I will work it. I try to talk the farmer into chopping the corn. Man, you guys ought to chop that corn. It really looks bad.
It looks like it's dying or something. You need to go ahead and chop it.
Chop that down, buddy.
Well, hey, Denny, we got more calls rolling in. Did you have any more Equinox questions before you head out?
No, I haven't even used mine, so I can't tell you. I can't even ask her a question. But if I want to know, first of all, Deb, is the new 15-inch coil, is it an open coil, or is it a solid coil like the GPX?
It will be an open double D coil.
Well, that'll be certainly better. Hopefully, they got a better vendor to make that coil. and you know what I'm talking about. So, okay, I'll see y'all later.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks for the call, Denny.
Yep, bye now.
Hey, Jeff, we've got another caller online. Looks like we got Jeff Miller online. Go ahead, Jeff. You're live.
Howdy, guys. I don't usually catch the show live, but I was catching tonight because I was wanting to ask Debbie a question. I talked to the other Jeff about this on chat last night. Reading the manual, it says to run it in 0 ground balance, unless you're in a highly mineralized area, like a beach or whatnot. I live in southern Illinois. It's not hot ground. What's your experience with running in 0? Because I followed the book, and I just go in 0, and I do fine with it. But I was wondering about other guys, because I hear, like, Loyal talk about ground balancing, and I know he lives just south of me. And I'm like, should he be ground balancing? Because the book says 0 unless you're highly mineralized. Can you elaborate on that ground balance feature? Should you leave it in 0? Should you leave it in track? What?
I have left, based on what I was told specifically by the engineers, and that's the same thing that you're reading in the manual. It's if you're not experiencing any kind of issues, leave it in 0. You don't have to put tracking on or anything. Now, when I was in Alaska, all but for one claim that we were on, I left it at 0 and had no issues with it whatsoever. It's
okay.
not even, I don't even think about it when I run the unit.
Right. And I'll check mine every once in a while and make sure I didn't hit the tracking button, make sure it's still on 0, because that's what the book says to do, just kind of wanting to get your opinion. I appreciate it, and I'll keep on listening to you guys. I always listen to you guys the day after while I'm at work, but I caught you guys tonight, so it was good talking to you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Jeff. I remember we was texting on Facebook last night, and then of course I was trying to get with Lloyd today and talk to him about that, but like he's out of town on vacation, so but today actually in my little test garden I went to ground balance at 0, and then I done it manually, and I'd done it 2 different ways, 0 and done it manually, and I could tell a difference in between the 2. And then of course my ground out here is pretty neutral, so, and it done real well at 0. See, I've never really run it at 0. I've always done it manually. And
right. And that's what I thought when I first got it was, ground balance. That's what you're supposed to do, until somebody pointed out in the book, well, no, it says keep it at 0.
Yeah. And I guess, like Debbie said, it depends on your ground and everything like that. So, but down here, I'm just going to I'm going to go out for a few hours and run it at 0 and then see how that works. And then, you just going to have to play with it and find the best setting for your area. So
I can tell you in Alabama with the red clay, I just about have to use tracking, and it changes from place to place with me. So it's an issue if I don't use tracking.
Right.
And
all right, guys. Well, I've never run mine in the track.
Yeah, it made mine really stable. Of course, mine wasn't bad to begin with the red clay, but I could tell the difference with the tracking. Yeah. But thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for listening live. Take care. Good stuff, Debbie. Have you noticed the difference in tracking and stuff, and the red clay and that sort of thing, or have you really got a chance to test that very much? I know you've only got a chance to hunt in the red clay probably once or twice here recently.
Yeah, from when the machine came out, actually I haven't done anything with the production model. I did have it out at the last DIV and played around with it a little bit there, and in that kind of soil, then we were ground balancing it and leaving the tracking on for it. Have not done it with the production, but I'm definitely bringing it with me for the next DIV in November, and we'll give it a run there as well.
Be interested to see how that works out. One thing, not talking about this machine, but from other machines, and I haven't seen that with this machine. I don't know how they do it. With other machines, if I use tracking and I got into iron, it would artificially elevate my my ground balance some, and I haven't seen that really as an issue with this machine. I'm not sure how you guys, what kind of voodoo magic you guys have in there, but it's working. I like it, so keep it up. Hey guys, we've got our call-in line still open. If anybody wants to call in, we still got a few minutes. We're about to head to break. 270-495-0315. If you want to call in, love to talk to you again. That's 270-495-0315. Got Debbie from Minelab. If you're just joining us, talking about the updates and everything Equinox or anything Minelab you want to talk about, give us a call. Love to talk to you, and I'm sure she would love to answer your questions. So we will be right back after a word from these sponsors.
If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, Tesoro, and Macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for Minelab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim is your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any questions you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611, and be sure and tell him Relics Radio sent you.
And I can tell you...
So, Debbie...
I'm sorry, Jeff. I was just going to plug Tim a little bit, too. I know he's a competitor of ours, but Tim is a great guy and actually a good friend of us at Treasure Mountain, too. So Tim will treat you right as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tim is a great guy. But, Debbie, I was wanting to know, what is the deepest target you've dug with the Equinox so far? Of course, you run the 800, don't you?
I actually take both with me wherever I go, trying to compare them and use them as much as possible. And for all my travels, I wish I had all the time to detect as I would like, but I don't. But right now, and this was in a test garden, so I didn't personally dig this target, but I was hearing stuff between 18 and 20 inches, and it was a bullet. A rifle bullet that was planted, and just kind of testing it that way. And we have had people call saying, that they think there's something wrong with their machine. They're not getting a lot of depth, and after questioning them a little bit, there's a lot of people that are not using a threshold. And this could be their first machine, so they're not aware of what it helps you do. But if anybody's listening and wants to find deeper targets with the Equinox, make sure you're running a threshold.
Yeah, and that's one problem. Of course, like I said, my deep machine is my GPX, but I mainly use the Nox for old home sites. And then, of course, 3 or 4 inches, 5 inches, and especially with all the iron, square nails and stuff, I'm not going to get much depth with there. But yeah, I've got a Civil War campsite down the road that I've pounded with several machines, and then I went out the other day and I was running my threshold up a little bit, and then you could bring out them bullets with that I'd missed with other machines. So, I mean, that threshold, it does the trick.
I'm always good at finding a good horseshoe nice and deep.
Yeah. Oh, I found a few of those too. What about you, Heath? What's the deepest you've dug with one?
Well, I've dug some deep stuff. I haven't dug a ton of deep bullets, but our stuff, just because I hadn't dug a whole lot of deep stuff doesn't mean it's not there. What impressed me the most, I will say, you dig something on its edge deep. That's what's really impressive to me. And so far, that sword hanger in that Confederate camp that I dug, that was about 10 inches, maybe 11, somewhere in that neighborhood. It was laying literally on its side, and is one of those that we just picked it out of the bottom of the hole, so we know, when we uncovered it, we could see the outline of it, so we know it was on its side, and it was slamming on that at that depth. And with the recovery speed of like 5 or 6 also, and the higher you go up in recovery speed, in theory, it goes not as deep. So I can only imagine if I turned that thing all the way down. I can only imagine what it would have done. But that's probably the one that's impressed me the most.
Yeah. And I did do a little test when I first got the 600. I did on the recovery speeds. Now, of course, I run mine in 3 all the time. Of course, I'm hunting old home sites. But when I got out from the home site, I did put it in 2 and then 1 there for a little while. Then I thought, well, I'll do a test to see how much depth I'm losing. And on my machine, I lost about 2 to 3 inches of depth every time I went up. So, I mean, it makes a pretty good difference.
Huh. Now, was that air testing or was that grant testing?
It was air testing. Yes, it was air testing. But
okay.
Of course, I know. Yeah, but that was air testing. So,
but it's and not Jeff, a direct. Go ahead, Debbie.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say because Jeff, you're using a 600. You said.
Yes, ma'am.
So just so everybody knows, when comparing the 600 to the 800, you've got on recovery speed, you've got 1, 2, and 3 on the 600. And you've got 1 through 8 on the 800, and it kind of it equals on the Equinox on the 600 it equals 2, 4, and 6 on the 800. So just to kind of give people an idea of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then of course when the Knox come out, I was wanting 800, and then of course I couldn't hold my horses as the term, so I went ahead and got a 600. And then now I'm trying to sell a few things where I can get an 800 now. So I want that extra recovery speeds. So it really helps out.
It's nice. It really is. And when I was with Debbie up there in New Hampshire, the video that we talked about digging that large scent, I had it turned on 8. And I don't know, Debbie, that's I've hunted in some trashy areas. I mean, just stuff everywhere, but that one was up there in the top probably 5 trashiest places I've ever hunted, and it cut through that like there was no tomorrow, and even hit that hit that large scent. What, Debbie? Maybe 6 inches or so, and with no problem.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah. It slammed hard and your voice slammed hard too when I heard you yelling.
Oh, I bet.
Hey, look, that's only the 3rd large scent I've ever dug. We just don't dig many of them down here.
No, we sure don't.
I dug 2 in Alabama, and then that was the first one, or the 3rd one that I dug up out outside of Alabama. So I was excited.
I can imagine. We dig more Riels here than we do large scents.
I don't have any of those Jeff.
I've dug 4 Riels to every large scent I've found.
Wow.
So,
have you got one with the Equinox yet?
I've dug one with the Equinox. And then, of course, that militia buckle, I dug it with the Equinox. And, of course, it was the trashiest place, like you said earlier, that I've ever hunted. And, I mean, it just seemed like when it went over it had a real high tone. And then, of course, I swung back over. It was real tight. Of course, it's a small buckle anyway. I mean, it's about the half size of your hand. It's a real small militia buckle, but it was a real tight, high tone, and then in between all that iron.
Right. Yeah, it makes a difference, man. It sounds like Debbie and I have got to come up there and hunt with you now.
Well, you guys are welcome.
I'm getting some feedback. I don't know if it's I don't know if somebody hit play or something listening to the show while they're on. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know if you guys are getting that or not.
Yeah, I heard that a little bit. So
yeah,
I heard it just then too.
It's crazy. Probably the weather, but
probably the weather.
We've got one more commercial we need to run real quick, but actually I don't have the commercial. I thought I had them all from 7, but I don't. So I'm gonna ad-lib it really quick. Want to mention Detect Tees, Mark and Ken Guthrie. If you guys want some of the best T-shirts out there, bar none, check those guys out, and they're good folks. They've got the Relics Radio shirt, and they also have History Seekers and Relic Roundup, so you can get one or all of your favorite shows there. Check those out at www.detecttees.com. And make sure you tell them that you heard from us here. Yep. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it justice. So, anyway, check Mark and Ken out. They're great guys, and tell them that you heard about it here on Relics Radio. While I was standing in for 7, no less.
Yeah. So I'm surprised he hadn't called in. I figured he would call in sometime, but.
He sent me a message says he's going to have to listen to it on archive. So I don't know what he's got going. He may be doing a kids thing with his grandkids or something tonight. So
yeah, he may be. So I don't. I mean, I didn't know he was going to be gone until about a week before this show, and then I thought, well, and then so. I thought he's sneaking off and going relic hunting somewhere, and not telling me about it. That's what I was thinking. And then,
oh, man,
of course, I was like,
tough.
"Well, I'll see the video." So,
hey, Debbie, you're down there on the coast or in Florida. Are you going to get to hunt anything over on the Treasure Coast while you're down there?
Unfortunately, not this trip.
Oh no!
Probably next. I'm working on it. But I don't know if you have seen, Heath. I was in Monroe, Michigan, a few weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and I had helped someone. Andy Sabich was down there, and he and I went to help somebody find a ring that they had lost a year ago, and we found that and asked them if we could come back and just detect a little bit during lunch hour. So went back there the next day and. They had the original sidewalk out. It was a halfway house that had been up since the Depression. And 6 inches off the sidewalk, I got a 31 no matter which way I swung that machine, and pulled out my very first. It was a 1928 Walking Half Liberty. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, congrats. I don't have one of those yet either.
I don't either. I'm after one. I asked Lloyd the other day, of course, he's supposed to put Scott on that Barbara. And then I was like, Lloyd, can you put me on a walk-in? He said, hunt old 1950s home sites. That's all he said, just hunt 1950s home sites. I was hoping he would take me and Scott to that fairgrounds he found all them barbers at. So.
Well, listen, you need to listen to his advice, because the very first weekend that Scott Duncan and I had the Equinoxes, or Scott had his Equinox, his very first good find was a Standing Liberty. So, and we were following Lloyd's advice and digging a 1950s era home too. So, something we rarely ever do. So, there is validity to that. Hey, we've got another.
I see his card. Okay.
I know. We've got another caller online. I don't have this one stored in. Last 4766. Go ahead, caller. Tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Shane Cothran from Franklin, Tennessee.
Well, hey, Shane, how you doing, buddy? Just fine.
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. I had a quick question. Y'all may have done talked about it, but I do a lot of Civil War relic hunting, and I find myself going back and forth on the programs from like Part 2 and Field 2, and I just wanted to know what y'all thought was best for the relics.
I like Field 2
on the Equinox. I got the 600.
I like Field 2 most of the time, personally. I will say this. You might not care about digging iron if you get into a ton of nails that are, those bent nails that faults on every machine out there, and you get tired of digging them. If you'll either turn up that iron bias a couple points, 1 to 2 points, or switch to Park 1, and it's going to knock it out. They'll knock those nails out pretty good. Now, you run the risk of a little bit of masking by doing that. So if you're really focusing on buttons, it could be a little bit more of an issue if you're in just a heavy iron. But for the most part, it won't be a problem.
Okay. Yes, that's all I need to know.
But most of the time, I'm hunting Field 2. If that helps you out.
Yeah, I normally run in it, and I have iron bias on 1 normally.
That's what I'll run my iron bias is 1. Yeah. And then, of course, I'm normally hunting in Part 2. And course, I'm gonna have to try fill too. Of course, I mean, I haven't used the Knox as much as I would like to, but of course, once the weather changes, man, I'm gonna be out there pounding it. So you'll find out a little bit more then.
Well, no, this is
All
not
right,
Civil
guys. Well, I
War.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Hey, this is not Civil War, but it's World War I, and so I mean the buttons and stuff are similar size. And in this particular site, things are really shallow, but it's loaded with iron. And to the point of a lot of time, it's just you're digging more iron than you want to. And I will actually hunt in Park 1. Is one of the few times I do it is at that site. And I'd run the risk of masking, and I know that. Sometimes if I'm worried too much about it, I'll change my 6-inch coil. And if you don't have that 6-inch coil, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's my next purchase. So.
Yeah, that's a killer for that machine. I'll tell you something. Anybody that has that machine needs to get a 6-inch coil for it.
Yeah, you know where they can get one, don't you, Heath?
I do. They can call Tim Henderson with Murray Branch, or they can call me. Either one.
What was it, Debbie? Did you say something?
I was going to say that 6-inch coil with the higher recovery speed, you can't beat it in a crashy area. It is amazing.
Hey, I tell you what, Debbie, I've got a little more depth out of mine, and I've been digging 7 and 8-inch pennies with that 6-inch coil, but I'm turning the recovery speed down to like 4 and 5 on the 800, and it's still punching pretty deep.
It sure is. I agree with you 100%. It's nice and smooth, and the targets are really clear. The IDs are really stable with it amongst everything else that's going on in that ground.
Oh yeah. I can't imagine being a coin hunter without it, especially, man. It's a coil you got to have.
Yeah, I haven't got mine yet, so it sounds like I need to get one.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for calling in.
And we're
all right. He's already gone.
We're producing those.
Is he already gone?
Yeah.
No.
What were you saying, Debbie?
I was going to say that we're getting those 6-inch coils out as quickly as possible, but they are very, very popular right now. So just so everybody knows, we're doing our best to get them out.
Yeah, and for good reason. So, but hopefully we'll have some more in soon. I don't know. Last I talked to Tim, I think he had one of them left, or maybe 2. So check with Tim too. If he don't have one, check with us.
Yeah, he called. He texted me. It's been a few weeks ago. Said he had 2. Well, a couple of weeks ago, said he had 2, and then was giving me first chance. And then, of course, at the time, I couldn't just throw out the money for a coil. But I'm gonna have to get me one sooner or later. So
I twisted your arm, talked you into it, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Everybody's talking about it. It doesn't take much. You get to talking about a machine, and then do this, and then next thing you know, I'm like, hey. I'm trading another detector for another detector.
Tell Tim I was working hard for him when you buy it. Okay. Hey, you got another caller, 5501. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, guys. This is Tommy from Chicago.
Hey, Tommy, turn your volume up just a little bit, buddy, or get closer to your phone. Barely hear you. Can you hear him, Jeff?
No, barely.
Hey, Tommy, call us right back, and we'll see if we can get you on. We can't hear you, buddy.
All right, no problem.
All right, real
Tommy,
low.
That's all.
I got Tommy.
Yeah, real low.
Yeah. So we'll hang around to give him just a second to call back in, trying to get him back on. But yeah. So Debbie, when do you think they'll be caught up on those 6-inch coils? Did they give you any kind of ETA on that?
We're getting them out. We're getting allocations every 7 to 10 days, and we're shooting them out as fast as we can out to the dealers. So I still have several on back order, but I can see that they're increasing coming in. The allocations are increasing, so we should be caught up pretty soon. It's just too, as you said, everybody's hearing about how good it is, and it's just driving more demand for them.
We just set them back a few weeks on getting caught up, Jeff. So, hey, we got Tommy. We got Tommy back online. Tommy, let's see if we can hear you better this time.
You guys hear me now?
Man, got you good, loud and clear now.
Yep, loud and proud. How you doing, Tommy?
How's it going, guys?
Good. Go ahead with your question for Debbie. We've got about 1 minute.
I'm up here in Chicago, and we dig a lot of old parts where we look for deeper coins. And every machine I've had before, I've always had the big coil, the CTX, the AT Pro. And I know Minelab's coming out with the 15 by 12, and it's coming out soon that I've been waiting for. But I was wondering if Minelab was going to allow any aftermarket manufacturers to make coils, such as like Coiltech and everything.
Great question.
Right now, there's nothing. There's nothing that I have heard of that happening. Doesn't mean that it won't. Primarily, just because it's a new detector, we want to get out the 2 coils that we have planned for it, and we may see something, down the line next year or so.
Okay.
Great question, Tommy.
Great question.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right, take care. Yeah, that'd be interesting because some of these, they like Coiltech, they do some different shapes and like a more elliptical and that sort of thing, and those can really change the game a little bit. So I'm interested to see that as well. But Debbie, we are slap out of time, and I know there's probably a bunch of information that people maybe didn't get to tune in and call in tonight, or maybe just think of after the show. But had to have you back on sometime.
I would love to do that, and if somebody does have questions that we weren't able to answer, just send me an email and I'll get the answers for them.
Outstanding.
All right.
And where can they get your email address, Debbie, or a contact from Minelab that comes to you?
They can either send an email to Debbie.Smikoski, and that's SMIKOSKI @Minelab.com, or I also answer the info@Minelab.com.
Sounds like a plan. Guys, let Debbie know, and she will do everything she can to help you. I'm telling you, she is one of the best reps we've ever dealt with at Minelab, so we're absolutely tickled to death to have her, and pleased to have her on the show. Debbie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
It was our honor. It sure was. And not only the best Minelab rep, but one of the prettiest. So
That's right.
I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Jeff, you got any closing words before we get out of here?
Yeah, we appreciate everybody in the comment section, all their callers, and of course we had a couple of new callers in there tonight, and appreciate you guys, and appreciate you, Heath, filling in for Seven, and thank you again, Debbie, for being our guest, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Anytime, man. I really appreciate you guys having me on. And, guys, go check them out on YouTube. Jeff, tell them about your YouTube channel before we go. If you're not a subscriber, you guys need to be.
Yes, it's Digging with Seven and Tennessee Jeff on YouTube. Of course, we mainly put the new videos on Digging with Seven, but I also have a YouTube channel called Tennessee Jeff, and actually I'll have another video or two up pretty soon. So, and then of course, don't forget Relics Radio every Thursday night.
Yep, and go check out that Equinox update video they've got on Digging with Seven Tennessee Jeff. You can find it there. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, guys. I believe Seven will be back next week, Thursday night. You can catch them again live at 7 p.m. Central Time. And it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check them out. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern, here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with 7 or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.